Hi, everybody. This is the Rambling Toffee podcast. I am Mark. I hope everybody's doing well this Wednesday. It's been a very busy kind of week being an Evertonian. It seems to be just such a long time ago since we played Brighton on Saturday. I'll get into that in a moment. My thoughts on that game and going forward coming into the West Ham game. So we'll come into that in a moment. Of course, we've had the points deduction been reduced to 4 points, so I'll touch more on that a little bit later, and also a little bit more about the takeover, which at the moment, if you believe a story that came out from the Times last night, which was mentioning that it's maybe that 777 partners are going to get approval, or may not. I don't know, but they are having supposedly they've had a face-to-face meeting with the Premier League regarding the takeover. So I'll talk more about all that later on. But yeah, let's get started. Way back on Saturday, Everton played Brighton away. For me personally, I was expecting probably a point out of that game. Personally, that's just my view. But Brighton are playing well as per usual this season. Great footballing team, play some really good football, and I was expecting, a point from it. The team set up, I think, as per usual. Godfrey stayed, in the right back position. The defence was as per normal. It's been set up, and it's been like near enough together for a long period of time. And it's been one or two occasions where players have been out injured. It's only been on the right side with Godfrey coming in and Patterson not playing, or Ashley Young not playing in that position, being out injured, or Seamus Coleman as well. So it seems to be he's stuck with Ben Godfrey. Obviously, I'm guessing for his pace, but that's so at the back. That's why I think we're third in the table, or in the stats table, with you know not conceding goals. So in the defensive sense, we've been very stable, and it's been really good to have that, because it's what we needed, especially while we've been struggling further up the field. So yes, of course, again, we started with Idrissa Gueye in midfield, and Dominic Calvert-Lewin obviously was up front. Um, yeah, it was a game, set up in a way. I was a bit disappointed by the way we were playing. We've been normally away from home with Decore, of course, in the team. We've been a little bit more expansive and getting forward a little bit more with him. And tactically, the way we've been set up, that we've been created opportunities, which did happen later on. In later on in the first half and in the second half, we did create opportunities, but from watching the highlights, because I didn't see the full game, um, you know, you know, Brighton were on top and were creating lots of opportunities and getting themselves in the position. So for me, that's why I've always thought, even before the game, that it felt like a point would be a good result. And so, but second half we did, of course. Corey had that chance which got cleared off the line, and we did get ourselves into positions, and I think it was you know quite surprisingly on my sense that we got a goal. A fantastic goal by Jared Branthwaite, absolutely top notch goal. Um, Top corner job. Any striker would have been happy with that. And for me, I was out that evening on Saturday, and I checked my phone, and we were winning 1-0 with about 10 minutes to go, and I was thinking, come on! I was praying to God. I'm not religious, but I was praying to God to get a result. We just needed 3 points. We just needed desperately. Obviously, at that point in time, we didn't know what the points deduction. We didn't know if we were getting anything back, or what was going to go with that. So for me, I was really thinking, come on, we can do this. And then what I didn't know is that they had a player sent off, and for some reason, according to Jared Brathwaite, who said in an interview afterwards, and I'll take it off him, that basically we just backed off. We were one up. They went down to 10 men and basically let them back into the game. They were creating lots of opportunities, getting forward, and obviously they equalised. So it felt very disappointing, that in a funny way, that I wanted a draw before the game. But on the circumstances and the way things were, that they were down to 10 men, you know, it would be, it felt like a defeat that basically, they equalised, and I don't even know where they got the 9 minutes from. Again, VAR, or if it was a VAR check, or was it something on the sending off? I don't know. Was that dragged the amount of time? But again, where to get those time from, I don't know. So we covered with a point. It was an okay performance in the sense of the word. It was just typical Everton at the moment, trying to survive, trying to get points, and trying to get to the next game, and obviously, as James Garner said the other week, it's obviously weighing on players' minds regarding the points deduction. Obviously, it's now starting to get to them in a psychological sense. Is seen on the pitch, and as players, as fans as well. Of course, it's been on our minds since we got the points deduction and the whole rigmarole, the whole thing that went from one thing to another. But it's a point. Results went for us again, um, after the Everton draw. So we were above the relegation zone on same points, but our goal difference was better than Luton Town's. So you know take a positive from that. We move on to the game on Saturday, which I'll touch into in a moment, but that's up and coming. But yeah, as I mentioned about the points deduction, obviously we've all been waiting for it. We've been dragged on. It's thought, why is it taking so long? And as I said last week in the podcast, I basically was thinking, the longer it takes, obviously it'll be even more positive result. Maybe we'll get all our points back. I was being a little bit too optimistic. But as you can guess, on Monday we got the appeal result that we get 4 points back, and 6 points. Has still been as part of the breach that we will keep, which meant that we psychologically, as a fan base, even if it was 4 points, we moved up the table to 15th. And it gave us a little bit of a boost. But in all honesty, I still believe that points for this situation anyway, points shouldn't be given for sanctions, for any breaches like that when it's a financial sense. If it's regarding stadium funding or mitigations, obviously from the report they didn't take the mitigations into it. They just The reason why we got our points back is because of two legal errors that they made. So for me, it's better than nothing, but I would have preferred more. But that's just the way I was, and I think every Evertonian probably wish we had all our points back. So yeah, it was a positive in some sense of the words, but I'll go into this in a moment. But we moved up, and what that does psychologically, probably for the players, we got the game against West Ham coming up. We're at home. It probably boosts everybody that we've moved away a little bit. A little bit of pressure's been pushed off, but we need to win most football matches. Yes, we've not won for a while, but we're picking up points, and we've not lost this year. We're just drawing a lot of matches. So there's a lot of things in that sense, but we need to win matches. We need to score more goals. We need to, Dominic Calvert-Lewin's still not scoring goals. How many games it's been now? 20 matches, whatever it may be. Beto on Saturday had some chances and he missed them again. Guilty opportunities to actually, get us the results that we need. They need to start hitting, and scoring goals. It can't be always down to our defence and our midfield to do that. They are strikers and they're paid to do so, but we need that. So anyway, we need to get into that. It's going to be a tough game against West Ham. They just come off a win against Brentford, who have now, because beforehand they were 5 points clear of, the relegation zone, and now because we've been given 4 points back, they are now being dragged further more into there, and obviously it's going to have an issue with their fans, and it's going to have an issue with the players. Obviously, one of their players, after the defeat by West Ham, as I mentioned, it's going to be a tough game because West Ham, beat Brentford, of course, and it's going to be difficult. a game because they've just come up with winning 4-2 against Brentford at home, and so they're going to come with some confidence. So we just have to go out there and just put in a shift, and hopefully these extra points that we got back from the deduction, and the fans feeling a little bit pressure, lifted for a bit anyway, because of course we've got the second breach, which is going to be heard in April. Um, Hopefully we might not get as many points deductions on that. I don't know, because it's all linked to the first punishment that we had. What we breached from the first punishment, and we don't know if it's double jeopardy, which people are calling. So we don't know if there's any link to if they're going to take everything on board or mitigate. I don't know. I'm not the lawyers dealing with that. So we'll have to wait and see in April. I think it's 8th of April or something like that. They're actually going to be doing that, and we'll find out what will happen. Hopefully, it'll be good news, and then we can just move on for the rest of the season. Of course, as I mentioned about, Nottingham Forest is a bit more worrying for them. We'll have to see what are they going to get a 6 point deduction straight away when theirs is being heard. I think theirs is being dealt with at the moment. So they're going to hear probably before we do, because of course we've just come through the appeal. So obviously we've got a bit of more of a time. So for them, it's going to be an issue that if they refute that and they want to appeal, that they may have to wait until the end of at the end of the season, or after the season's ended, to find out if they are going to win them points back, or it's going to stay, and they may either get relegated or they might stay up. I don't know. But then again, they might just start playing fantastically well and pull away from it, and basically whatever the 6 points they get or whatever, it won't matter. And it's the same with Everton, really, because we've got at the moment we've got West Ham the next game. We've got some difficult games upcoming, but we just have to keep on ploughing along. And when we've got Sheffield United coming at home, we have got some games at home and opportunities to get some points, and Burnley as well, of course, to get some points and actually pull ourselves away. So if we were to get 6 points deduction from that, maybe the club can just decide, well, we're further away, we'll just accept them and we will just basically go with it. But we need to win football matches. It's simple as that, isn't it? So yeah, it's points deduction. Yeah, but it just shows the fact that it's an appeal body. Appeal saw an errors from the original independent commission, and they also felt that the 10 point deduction was so severe. Because of course with the 9 points if you're going into administration, so it's taken an appeal board to actually rectify where the Premier League or the Independent Commission just really made really, really poor decisions. But the fact is that the Premier League wanted 12 points deducted to us just shows you what they were trying to do. I don't know what they were trying to do. And it just shows you that we need an independent regulator. We need it, a better way. PSR, yes, has to be in, but it has to be fairer and it has to be done the right way. So clubs that have rogue owners like Everton do, that is trying to help the club, not try to hinder it, because by sanctioning the club like it did, and the fact that we didn't have a sporting sanction, we didn't lie. That was another thing that they found with the legal error. They seemed to assume that we lied and we hid, what we were telling them, when in reality that was not the case. So that's a good positive from our point of view, that we told everything rightly, and honestly. So that's a positive as well. As much as the way the board and the owner is, and ruined our football club, over the last few years, specifically the owner and his ways of, trying to compete or trying to want to get further, but his decision making and the money that he threw in, or just completely destroyed our football club. And as much as we have a fantastic stadium being built and it's nearly being completed, it's just, it could have been done a better way. I'm not a finance guy, and I just wish, the board that at the time, and the board are no longer there, of course, tried to actually, guide him and talk to him and actually say, do this with the money. But they didn't help. They were too weak to actually even talk to him to try and stop him to making these little like going to the shop, shopping sprees and thinking, oh, I can buy all these players, I can bring in these managers, I can do all this and all that, and not realise that there was a chance that we would breach, which is what's happened. Anyway, I digress. We've got the 4 points back. Let's just hope that we don't get 6 points from the second charge and it's reduced or maybe a fine or maybe suspended or something that enables us to actually get to the end of the season and actually hopefully spend our last season, in the Premier League at Goodison and, moving into the new stadium the year after that we're still a Premier League club. But at the moment, it's up in the air still as is. But we've got some points. Let's take some positive from it. And let's go into the West Ham game. Hopefully the players are a bit rejuvenated by it, feel a lot better by the fact that at least some positives come out from it, and then they can go into the game and actually get a result, and hopefully it'll spur us as fans on. I'll be there on Saturday, getting behind the team as I always have done, and pushing the team to get a result. And we just need it. If we can get that, it'll just change everything, because it would mean that we'll probably be 8 points clear of the relegation places, which will be absolutely monumental. The way things have been over the last how many months? A few months, last 4 months or so, and it'll psychology that'll change, and it'll change with the players, and hopefully we start to move forward with that. Yeah, so basically we move on to the West Ham game next. But of course, there's a story out there, of course, regarding the takeover by 777 Partners. Everybody knows what my feelings regarding them are. As I've said all along, they're not right for Everton Football Club. I know they put £150 million or whatever the amount into the club to keep it running, which is honourable and grateful to keep the club going and going into it and paying obviously for the stadium and also keeping the day-to-day running and also paying obviously salaries and everything else. Because at the end of the day, that money is keeping us going, and if they weren't doing that, and if Mashiri couldn't put money in, I don't know if he could or not. I don't know if he could still put money into the club. Then we were teetering. Then it could still go down into administration maybe, because obviously we can't pay our creditors, we can't pay wages, we can't pay for the stadium, we can't pay for all the stuff. So at the moment they're doing that, which is honourable. Whatever people think about that, but my opinion is still that I would wish that there was somebody else. I know there's rumours out there that there is people interested and want to buy the club, but they're not making themselves known. And it just seems to be 777 Partners are the only game in town at the moment that they only people that want to take over the football club. And at the moment, as I mentioned at the beginning of this podcast, that there was a Times article that they are speaking to the Premier League. Are they speaking now, or they've already started speaking to them? I don't know. So hopefully we might hear something this week. Fingers crossed. Now, as I mentioned, that it's at the end of the day, I would really like it to be somebody else, as I mentioned. But if they get the approval, we get behind it. Whatever it's been decided, Mashiri wants to sell his shares to them. It's been agreed by them. We move forward, and hopefully they will do a really, really good job of Everton Football Club and get us moving forward, get past these breaches that we are going through and get past that, get into the stage and start moving forward and start getting this club back to where it should be and where it belongs. And I'm trying to be optimistic by it. So if they do get the approval and they do take over, let's hear what they want to say. Let's hear what they want to do. That's, but I can't do anything about it. I wish I could. I can't, there's no point even demonstrating. At the end of the day, they put the money in at this moment in time as loans just to help the club. If they are approved by the Premier League and they've got funding and they can do it and they're willing to actually help the club, that'll have to be. But as I mentioned, all the noise out there of Gardingham, of all the litigation, all the legal situations, that their credit rating being downgraded in different places, and clubs that are having issues as well, the other clubs that they have investments in or they own, and all the problems that their businesses that they're having in America and everywhere else. That's what's worrying me and concerning me, and that's why I wish they would not be the people taking over the football club. But at this moment in time, unless somebody today decides to come out and say we want to take over the football club, we're willing to pay and whatever else, and we want to do this. If they're out there, make yourself known. The other thing is that the other thing that they may be talking to the Premier League, is it a sign that yes, they are getting approval, or are they told face to face that no, you're not getting the approval because of and then okay. And if that's the case, then we will have to have Mashiri have to come out. He'll have to communicate and say, we have other people interested in the club. I've been talking to them. He might have been talking to them anyway, privately, and getting an idea. Maybe something is set in ways just in case this happens. But if you're having a face-to-face meeting with the Premier League, it's the Premier League, and normally that indicates that they're going to get approval. So watch this space on that one. Anyway, let me know in the comments below what you think about the takeover. Do you think, is there anybody out there who wants to, take over the club? Are they waiting in the wings? Let me know below. I just, as we all know, I just want to get this club to go forward and, and get it back in the right line, and lights at the end of the tunnel, because it just feels dark at the moment, and you just keep on hoping. So you get a few points back from the deduction, and you just hope maybe, just maybe, we can start to move forward. And then the takeovers that has been dragging on longer and longer and longer and longer. We want to know yay or nay on that. We want to be able to see what they can do if it is them, and if it's not them, what's going to happen next. But it just feels like I can't see that light at the end of the tunnel, and I just hope that as the season ends, we're still in the Premier League. We've got new owners that are coming in to put money into the club and money into the stadium to complete, and we can all go into next season, in our last season at Goodison Park, enjoying going to the football matches and getting behind, and hopefully seeing a team that can be a little bit more expressive and a little bit more open and actually play a bit better than what we're currently seeing. Because the reason why it's set in that way is, and maybe I'm wrong, it's set in that way because making us hard to beat is the first priority. I've got so many things I wanted to talk about, Kevin Felwell and everything else, but that'll be for another podcast next week. And I know I just want to shout out to Paul Diesk, who listened to my podcast last week and basically said that I sounded like Sean Dyche. I said I'll just let him know I'll try to talk about Kevin Felwell this week, so it'll be interesting to see, if I sound like him. But shout out to him, because Paul, as much as he puts wonderful stuff out there and content out there. He's been a massive supporter to this podcast, and Talking the Blues podcast, please listen to theirs. It's fantastic with Andy Gostestein. I can't say the name now. Andy and George. That's a great podcast, and it's really, really informative. And it's great to understand the financial side of football, not just, in takeovers and everything else, and how it all operates. And it's great to listen to that. So please, Paul, if you're listening, shout out, keep up the great work what you're doing on there and also on social media. I know there's a lot of people that, do be critical, but that's just the way it is. But I try to get as much information as I possibly can regarding takeovers and try and understand every aspect of it. But it's quite tough to take it all in. But yeah, so I wanted to cover Ken Farewell. So I'll speak more about that next week, or how my views about how he's doing regarding the director, being a director of football, and the players that are recruitment and players who come in, and and everything regarding that. So I'll have more time hopefully next week to talk about that. Plus, hopefully, we might have new owners or not. So we'll talk about that when we get that. Plus the West Ham game upcoming, so I'll talk about that as well. So yes, so thank you again, as per usual, for listening to the podcast, watching me on YouTube, and giving me all the great feedback and enjoying listening to me rambling on for about 25 to 30 minutes at a time about everything that is Everton Football Club, what is on my mind at this precise moment. It's always appreciated, and it just keeps keeps me sane, in the sense that actually I can get what I feel out there, because sometimes I can't always put it in words, on social media or anywhere, how I really feel about how Everton are doing at the moment and everything else that is ongoing regarding. So please, thank you very much for listening, as per usual. Please leave comments below on Spotify if you can, or let me know what you think on Twitter, on YouTube as well. Let me know what you think. It's valuable feedback for me, what you think I can do better, what I can improve on, and what I need to do going forward. But I just want to shout out, so thank you, shout out to all you guys who listen, who spend the time to actually click on, Spotify and listen to me just rambling on. And, you know, keep on rambling, as they keep on saying to me, keep on rambling. So anyway, thank you very much again. I will speak to everybody again, hopefully be either next Monday or next Tuesday, dependent on my day. But on that note, this is the Rambling Toffee signing out. Take care, and I'll speak to you again soon. Take care. Bye bye.